If secret doors are just a die roll, you've turned discovery into a slot machine. And look, I get it. Rolling dice is fun, but when finding things becomes I roll until I hit the number, you've stripped out the best part of old school play. Player decisions that matter. Because the secret door isn't the reward, the moment of figuring it out is the reward. So today I'm going to show you how to run searching and secret doors so it feels smart, fair, and intense without turning it into either no rolls ever, dogma, or using 5e parlance, every room is a perception check. What this rule is really about. The OSR gets summarized as player skill over character skill, right? And that's mostly, well, right. But people do take it to weird extremes. This is not, if you ever roll a die, you're doing it wrong. And it's also not, if the player doesn't speak to a locksmith, they can't find a trap. And it isn't about gotchas. You didn't check under the rug. That's not old school. That's just being a jerk with better lighting. We're not looking to do that. The real goal is when the player makes a good choice, the game should respond. Not with roll and see, but with information. Because information is what turns a room from a flat box into a place you can actually explore. So, here's what happens at a lot of tables. Player, I search the room. Roll. 5. You didn't find anything. All right, I search again. Again, 10 more minutes, right? Roll. 1. All right. You find a secret door. That's not exploration. That's pulling the lever on a casino slot machine until it pays out. And it creates two nasty habits. Players stop paying attention to descriptions. Why listen? The die will decide. And it also means because the players stop listening, the DM stops describing. They don't describe anything meaningful. Why bother? It's all going to be decided by a roll of the die. Right? So the fix is simple, but it's a mind shift. It's a mindset shift. Here's the method I use, and it works basically with any OSR ish adjacent system. Hey, it could work with 5e if you wanted it to. Step 1 is the player states intent. Not, I searched the room. No. You need something a little bit more descriptive, a little bit more exacting. I'm looking for anything that doesn't belong. I check the fireplace for drafts. I'm looking for seams in the stonework. Okay. My characters back in the day, used to always claim they were emptying their bladder on a certain wall to look for seams in the stonework. I'm not saying you have to go that route, but I'm just saying this is how we were playing it out in the 80s in my groups. Say something else though. I want to see if any further furniture looks like it was moved a lot. Does anything in this room look more recent than the rest? Intent tells you what kinds of details to reveal. And you respond as the GM with information. This is essentially the secret sauce. Give them something to work with. Oh, well, yeah, the rug is newer than the rest of the room. The soot above the fireplace is disturbed on one side. One bookshelf has scrape marks on the floor. The mortar line near the statue looks cleaner. Not you find the secret door, at least not yet. You give them clues that invite the next decision. Now, when do you roll? Well, you roll if needed. Now, what do I mean by that? When do you roll? You roll when time matters, risk matters, it's contested, trap triggers, guards approach, noise draws attention, they're doing something imprecise and you need uncertainty. So instead of roll to see if you find it, the roll becomes, can you do this quickly? Can you do it quietly? Do you trigger the trap? Does a wandering patrol show up while you're messing with it? And that's the huge difference, okay? You're not rolling for permission to discover. You're rolling for cost and consequences. Now, some folks will hear this and say, so I need to give my players a 10-minute speech about every room to describe it, and they have to come back with a 10-minute speech describing what they're doing. No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay? You got to train them. Hold on. You're going to train them to ask one better question. Instead of the generic, I search, teach them to say, what stands out? What looks recently disturbed? Where would I hide something in this room? And even that small shift turns the table from, I don't know, roll fishing into actual exploration. So here's where OSR tables can feel like magic. When players use tools, the world should respond. Player, I tap along the wall with my dagger pommel. You, the DM. Most of it sounds solid, but near the third torch bracket, the tone changes, hollow. That's not a roll, that's a reward. Player, I light incense and watch where the smoke drifts. You. It curls normally, then pulls slightly toward the north wall near the tapestry. Again, you're giving them information. Player, I use a hand mirror to look behind the statue and under the altar. Behind the statue, there's a thin crack in the stonework, like a seam. Okay. Player, I dust the floor seams lightly. We used to try to do this also back in the day. You, one line shows more dust disturbance, like it's been moved and reset. Player, we were told this place has a priest's escape route. Does the layout support that? You, good question. The chapel sits directly over the crypt. If there's a route, it's probably down, not out. So now the secret door becomes a logical conclusion. It's not a lottery ticket. So, let's play this out. Version 1. Slot machine. I searched the room. Roll. 3. No. You don't find anything. I search again. Roll. 1. You find a secret door. That's boring. That's flat. There's no tension. No mental picture. Dare I say it, there's no story. Version 2. I searched the room. Okay. What are you focusing on? Walls, floor, furniture, the fireplace? Yeah, the fireplace. I'm checking the soot pattern above it, and I'm feeling for drafts. Okay, nice. The soot is thicker on the left side, but there's a clean arc on the right, like something's been swung open. And you feel a faint, cool draft when you put your hand near the right inner stone. Player. So there's a pivot stone or panel on the right. I tap it and I look for a latch seam. All right, you find a hairline seam behind the inner edge. Opening it will take a minute and it will scrape stone on stone. So now we got choices, right? Now we have something other than a random roll. Do they wedge it and force it fast? Do they try to muffle the sound? Do they post a lookout? Do they risk a wandering monster check? If you want to roll, here's where it belongs. Make a check to open it quietly. You can open it automatically, but it will take 2 turns. Wandering monster checks will apply. Or do you want to roll and see if you can do it faster? That's old school tension. The door isn't hidden behind a number. It's hidden behind player attention and risk. Now, there's a few practical rules of thumb to keep it moving. Use them as you see fit. The one better question rule. If a player says, I search, don't just shut them down. Don't just go to the die roll. You ask, what are you looking for specifically? Or where are you focusing? That's it. One question. And give the clues in layers. Give them a standout detail, a suspicious detail, and one nothing here confirmation. And that makes them feel like they're learning the space. And of course, the auto success with a smart method. If they use the right tool, the right approach, let them succeed. Let me repeat that, because I think that's very important. If they use the right tool, they use the right approach, it's a success. The roll is not the gate, the roll is the cost. And it make time matter. Searching is powerful. It should cost something. Time, noise, exposure, wandering monster checks, torch burn down, spell duration, tick down. So now the question isn't, can we find it? The question is now, is it worth it? If your system has a find secret doors skill, we have to check, right? That's the D6 roll. But sometimes some systems have a secret doors skill. Here's a compromise that usually works. Again, smart play gets information and or success. The roll covers speed, stealth, uncertainty, and the roll is never the only way to interact. So you can say, yeah, your elf ability gives you an extra clue when you search stonework, but don't just say only elves get to play this part of the game. Elves get to detect secret traps on a 1 in 6 just by secret doors on a 1 in 6 just by walking past them. No, but if they are actively looking or suspicious, give them more detailed clues. Give them an extra clue. If secret doors are just a die roll, discovery becomes a slot machine. If you run it as intent to information to roll only if needed, it's actually a flowchart of sorts. And then secret doors become what they were always meant to be, a reward for paying attention and a trigger for meaningful choices. And that's the whole OSR deal, right? Not did you roll high, but what do you do now? So, if you like this video, drop a comment and tell me how you handle secret doors at your table. Do you run with pure player skill, pure die roll, hybrid, which is what I guess I'm advocating for? And if you want, I'll do a follow-up episode on traps using the same method. If you've played with me at a convention, you've seen this in action to some extent. Because traps should be problems to solve, not save or take damage. Or not, well, your first level thief has a 20% chance to disarm it or die. There's got to be something better, right? And yeah, if you've got a player who still says, I search every room, give them this video. It might save your campaign As a DM, you might save your sanity. Folks, as always, God bless. Good night. And have a happy and holy holiday season.